Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis. And today's topic of discussion is education. We're going to talk about the education that starts at home around disliking people. And I think this is a conversation that I didn't think we needed to have, but some people don't recognize that there are rules of engagement that qualify as being like healthy and adaptive ways of responding to someone you dislike, and the inverse, like self-sabotaging and destructive ways to respond to someone that you dislike. And now, no question about it, I dislike people. There are people that I have met, that I meet, that I'm sure I will meet in the future, that I will dislike by varying degrees, whether that's me abhorrently disliking them, mildly disliking them, just not approving of them because of their values, or they give me a weird feeling. I mean, we all are going to have our own preferences about the people that we want to keep close to us. And I am not at all exempt from that. It's just that some of us were raised with rules of engagement. We were raised recognizing that just because you dislike someone does not give you the privilege or the ability to harm the person because you dislike them. Now, not everyone recognizes this. I don't think that this is like a maxim that is widely spread. So I'm going to talk a little bit about rules of engagement around dislike that create the perception of you being someone who is healthy and adaptive in how you manage your emotions and your reactions to other people, and if whether or not you're destructive, self-destructive mostly, and really toxic about how you handle your emotions around different people. And so again, as I have mentioned, growing up, like if there were people that I disliked, there were behavior that I engaged in, of course, that were approved and disapproved. And so as a child, when I was a teenager, it would be interesting how it's very quickly to build allies and to build friendships on dislike. Like if you find that there's a person who's the object of your disdain and someone else feels similarly, it's really easy to create a friendship on that or create some sort of a connection on that. But that's really toxic connection if you're only friends or only talking when you're talking crap or talking about this person that both of you vehemently dislike. And so I recognize that that was not the way I wanted to build connections or build relationships. I didn't want to build them based on mutual dislike for someone. I didn't think that that was how I wanted to show up in the world around me. It didn't align with my values. And so when I recognized that that wasn't a behavior I wanted to engage in, I stopped engaging in it. I stopped engaging with people who only wanted to build a bridge with me by gossiping or talking about other people or by sharing their dislike about other people. Not to say that I don't have the opportunity where if it is the case that I can like objectively speak on the things that are problematic but about their behavior, I will, and how that behavior is translating and impacting me. Happy to have those conversations, but I'm not going to go around and campaign about the people that have upset me or disliked me. And I've seen that happen so often in adulthood that I recognize that it's not something we grow out of, right? It's really a value system. And I think that it's really very toxic if you find that you don't like someone or someone has spurned you. And as a result of that, you go around and you gossip about them. You do everything you do to rip them down. That behavior, I find it to be so disgusting. I have experienced that behavior myself from people who have decided to actively dislike me. And I think that it's just this conversation around that. It's just a call to like think about what you look like to the people you're behaving that way with, right? And it was when I was looking at someone who was talking to me about someone that they disliked, and I was thinking about, well, wait, like maybe a couple of months ago you guys were really close, and like this is how you've turned on them. Like it's really quite shocking, right? It's not something that creates trust. It's not something that creates comfort when you see how someone who would want to praise a person just turns around and speaks so venomously about them because there was a falling out. And so I hold myself to a certain standard. If there is a falling out, or if it is because I dislike someone, I don't think it gives me a right to disparage them. It does not give me a right to speak ill of them outside of my personal experience. It doesn't give me a right to like rip their character into shreds. And I recognize that if I choose to engage in those behaviors, I'm just telling everyone around me the kind of person that I am and the kind of character that I have. I don't want to be seen or recognized as the kind of human who feels inclined to tear people down no matter what the circumstance or situation is, no matter what the falling out was. And it doesn't mean I won't speak on the behavior, but it definitely does mean that I'm not going to spend more of my energy than is needed trying to rip someone down, building a campaign, or building friendships or connections because of mutual disdain. It's not going to happen. Another behavior that I find people don't recognize is super self-destructive is when you dislike someone, you don't want them around, and you go out of your way to try to find ways to make sure that they're not around. Like you try to plant booby traps, or you try to set them up for failure, or you try to catch them doing things that, will get them in trouble or get them or have them really show up in a very negative light, not recognizing that at some point, like if these are not like a one and done situation, if you're failing at doing these, people are picking up on your patterns. Like people pick up when it is the case that you yourself are setting someone up for failure, and it does not fare well for people. I mean, you get the energy that you put out in this world. So if your karma is that you're going out of your way to try to make someone look bad for something that you know that they themselves didn't do, or you're trying to set someone up for failure, that you're really trying to go out of your way to create these pitfalls for them to fall into, all of that energy spent is going to turn around and fall back on you. I have never met anyone who has really gone out of their way with the purpose of inflicting harm get good in life, right? Like these are the kinds of destructive behaviors and cycles of behaviors where negative intentions beget negative intentions. You attract what you put out into the world, and worse, right? Just like if you're putting out positive energy in the world, you get better than what you put out, right? Like it multiplies by multiple factors. And so I think that it's just incredibly despicable behavior to go out of your way to try to set someone up for failure, or try to have someone or trap someone by like setting them up to make mistakes and whatnot. Like that kind of behavior, don't think that people don't recognize it. Like it's a pattern of behavior that's very easy to pick up on, and it shows everyone who you are. Like if you want people to think ill of your character or of your values, or the values that kind of drive you in your decision making, and even to the point where there are some things that I've seen take place where it's like, this is like to the point where this person isn't thinking rationally. Like if this is the way that this person is engaging and they think that they're going to be successful in attaining the outcome that they're looking for, engaging in this behavior, and at this point I can't assume that they're behaving or operating from a place where they can be rational about their emotions. And I think the one thing that we want as adults, especially making decisions, is that we can distinguish between how we feel and what it is that we're supposed to do, right? Like what we're supposed to do when it comes to how we work in collaborative environments is what should be driving the way that we interact with other people. If I dislike someone, but I need to collaborate that person in order to get an outcome done, like I put my dislike to the side. I can put it to the side. I don't have to dwell on it. It doesn't need to be the filter by which I have a communication with this person with. It's just something that I feel that I can distance myself from, because I'm in a setting where I can behave objectively. I by no means need to invite someone in my personal space, in my social settings, in my personal spheres if I know I dislike them. But if I do have to interact with them outside of that, like if it is sort of obligatory for me to do that in order for me to get things done, then I can be civil, I can be professional, I can be kind, because those are the values that I align to. I don't think that because you dislike someone, it gives you permission to be hostile. I don't think that because you dislike someone, it gives you permission to be unkind or to go out of your way to be destructive for them as well as for yourself as well. I think that anyone who feels that way has a lot of growing up to do, and I think that life is going to hand you those individuals some very hard lessons, because all of that energy that you're accumulating is definitely going to come back on you, and it's going to come back on the people that you rally to support this objective for you. So just because you dislike someone doesn't mean that you have control over like what that person does, how that person responds, how that person shows up. Disliking someone doesn't need to be an active thing. It can be something that you recognize and then you kind of put it away, because ultimately, like if you're interacting with that person out of obligation, like how you feel really doesn't matter. And if you can't separate how you feel from the situation in and of itself, then that's a sign of immaturity that probably you want to work on. And so I just want to talk a little bit about that, because I think sometimes we think that dislike means that we're allowed to disrespect. And I think my ultimate point here is dislike never translates as disrespect. Just because you dislike someone does not give you the right to disrespect them. I think there is very little in this life that someone can do that gives me the right to be disrespectful towards those people. And while I cannot control other people's reactions or responses to me, I also expect that just because I am disliked by someone, that means that I'm supposed to be open and welcoming to disrespect. I won't be. You can dislike me, and if it is the case that you decide that dislike translates as behavior that I find to be disrespectful, I'm going to hold you accountable to your disrespectful behavior. I'm going to show you that you're responsible for how you show up, regardless of how you feel. Regardless of how you feel, being respectful, being courteous, being polite, being kind, like these things are not contingent on how you feel personally about someone. You don't have to vibe or be compatible with someone to be a decent human being. And I think some people think that for them to be a decent human being, you have to earn that by having them like you first. And that's just not the reality of things. Liking someone, disliking someone, we have like 7 billion people in the world. You're not going to like everyone. Not everyone's going to be your cup of tea. But just because someone isn't doesn't mean you have the right to be vicious, to be cruel, to be mean-spirited, to be hostile, to set them up for failure. I mean, all of those behaviors, if you think about them, like how they sound, and you think about how that has translated for you when it was a case that you yourself felt dislike and disdain for someone, just think about what that makes of you when you continuously do that day after day, how that shapes your character and that shapes your becoming and your path. I don't think it shapes you to experience great things in life. And if you dislike people because of your envy, like if your envy is what is driving your dislike for someone, then your focus is more so on what you cannot control, which is that person, the skills, the competencies, the abilities, and the things that they have that make it so that they're an object of your envy, whereas you can just focus on bettering yourself. I mean, I have never really fully understood envy, because envy is coming from a place where you don't think that you can measure up, and many people don't recognize that. But when you look at someone and you feel envious, you just don't want them to have what they have, it's because you don't think that you could attain it yourself, right? Like it comes from a place of like recognizing or having a limited belief of your own potential. People who envy me, it's less about me and what I've achieved, because I am someone who has proven my stake in whatever game that I'm in, like whatever arena I am playing in. Like I have been in that arena long enough that I can hold my own in that arena. So if people feel envy towards me because of how I show up in the specific spheres where I have expertise, it's like rather than envy the path that I have taken that has oftentimes been challenging, had hardships, had like lots of difficulties that I've needed to overcome to attain this level of confidence, rather than envy me for the experience that has put me in these positions, why not like invest in your own ability to be in these positions with the same degree of confidence, with the same degree of performance? How much of your energy are you wasting just watching me and feeling hateful towards me? I mean, like do something with your own life that is going to be of value to you, rather than just putting energy into someone who does not otherwise have any emotion towards you, right? I am not someone who feels like it's going to be to my benefit to invest any emotional energy into someone who envies me, who dislikes me, who is self-sabotaging themselves with the intention to try to sabotage me. I mean, I have been around the block. I have enough life experience that I've seen enough of most things that I can navigate, or I can mitigate a lot of the things that are coming against me. And I think that what I want the most for the people who are stuck in envy is for them to recognize, like, rather than like acknowledge this limited belief of your ability to show up in the world, like why not take the opportunity to address your envy and address the limiting belief that is driving and fueling that energy, and challenge yourself to do better, right? To show up in a way that makes you feel like you can measure up, or you can fight in the same arena, or you can compete in the same domains within which you feel envy for the person who themselves are performing within that domain. Because remember, like I have said this in many discussions before, like performance is not something that you have out of the gate. You need experience, you need mastery before you can perform. You need to learn, you need education before you can perform. And in all of the areas where I am performant, I have minimum 10 years of experience within that arena. I know what I'm doing when it is the case that I take something on and tell you, hey, this is going to be the output that you get. It's going to be a value add. Like I don't make those empty promises. I make those promises backed on experience. And like when I think about my professional experience, I recognize I've worked across multiple industries. I worked in transport and logistics. I've worked in consulting. I worked in digital transformation across financial sectors, private banking, retail banking, like you name it. I have worked in every like large industry or economy dependent industry across different geographies and in different languages. So when I show up confidently, rather than be envious of me, recognize that I have earned this confidence with experience, right? With the dealing with the hardships, dealing with the challenges, tackling difficult issues. And now I can show up and I can perform because of that. Things that I know, that I have learned, because I've invested my energy in my education, in my community, and in my career, as well as in my hobbies and my personal interests as well, which also definitely fuel and funnel like the things that I put my energy into. So I wanted to come in here and talk about that, because I think that like one of the things that I'm recognizing like in this stage and phase in my life is that rather than deal with doubt, and I've dealt with doubt so much, like people would immediately like just doubt my abilities in any new setting that I came in. And then it would like turn into respect or like recognition that like, hey, like she knows what she's doing. I find that instead like doubt is sometimes now more often than not converting into envy. And I feel like people just don't recognize like the journey. And I think that rather than be envious for how I'm showing up right now because of the journey that I have taken, I think about the journey. And if that's a sacrifice that you're willing to make, then recognize there's nothing to envy. Like, you can take the same journey and be just as performant as I am. Now, if it is the case that you don't feel inclined to take that journey, if that's not a journey for you, then why feel envious? Like, you have made the conscious decision to not take that path, to show up in the way that other people show up who are performant in those areas, right? Like, own it. Like, own your choices, own the outcome of your choices, own the limitations that your choices will impose upon you, as well as I have, right? Like, I have made those choices and continue to make those choices on a day by day basis. So make those choices as well, eyes wide open. Envy, not necessary, wasted energy, and also a karmic debt that, like, you do not want to have accrued over time, because when it hits you, it's going to hit you hard. In any case, that is what I wanted to talk about today. It was some food for thought for you. Now, if I have piqued your interest, we do host live events. Now, these live events are modules of our 12-week programs focusing on development milestones or on development goals. And so I do believe that self-mastery is something that we can invest in regardless of any age and stage that you're in life. So if you're focused on self-mastery, if you want to focus on cultivating clarity, on growing, on aligning to your potential, on creating a life of meaning and fulfillment, then these programs are for you. Like, you should definitely think about participating. We also do provide parent-child workshops to focus on cultivating leadership competencies in children. So something for everyone in your family. So check out our website. If you're still here, like, give us an indication where you have felt that someone really didn't understand that just because they dislike you does not give them right to disrespect you, how you handled that situation, how you came out better as a result of it. And we'll build community around it. We'll give ourselves different tools and resources to help us push through those difficult situations if we're going through them now. Solidarity to you. And I look forward to chatting with all of you soon. Don't forget to follow, leave us a like, and we'll talk to you all very soon.